Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amit, and today I'm going to take one interview of the fresher candidates. Now, this candidate is claiming that he is better than even 5 years of experience candidate in the interview. So let's see how he perform. And after the video, please do the comment into the comment box. Is he really able to beat to the 5 years of experience candidate or not? Okay, so let's start with the interview. Okay, hi Karan, how are you?
I'm good, sir.
Okay, so let's start with the technical discussions. Karan, tell me about yourself and your technical skills.
Okay, so my name is Karan. I'm passed out in 2022. I'm done graduation in BSc Computer Science from Chandrapur. Recently, I joined Amit IT in 1st of Jan, where I develop my skills like core Java, OOPS collection, exception handling, multi-threading, and Java 8, and Spring Boot IOC container, Spring Security, Hibernate, like that of skills I develop in Amit IT.
Okay, so within 3 months you achieve a lot of things.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so let's see. Okay,
Yes.
so just I will start with very basics. Okay, so my first question is, what is a polymorphism?
So polymorphism means many forms. We can achieve polymorphism by there are two types in polymorphism. First one is method overloading, which is compile time polymorphism, and second one is method overriding, which is runtime polymorphism.
Okay, good. So tell me about overriding.
So in case of method overriding, the method name should be same, the parameter should be same. In case of access modifier, it should be same, or we can increase the scope of access modifier in the child class. And in case of return type, it should be same or the covariant return type, means the specification return type in the child class. And method overriding should be done in the child class only. So that is method overriding.
Okay, good. Okay, so tell me. So let's come to the collection. So how you rate yourself in the collection?
5 out of 5.
Okay, oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with the collection then. Okay, so tell me the difference between array list and vector.
So array list store the data into array format, like vector also store the data into array format. So array list is non-synchronized. It is faster for reading operation, while vector is synchronized. It is slower performance than array list.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So you mean to
So
say,
there is
but
performance issue in vector. So we can go for concurrent collection as well if we want performance and yeah, and synchronize also.
okay. So what is the purpose of synchronization? If you make it synchronized, then what does it mean?
So multiple thread cannot access that at a time. So it handle the data inconsistency there.
Okay, so to avoid the data inconsistency, you mean to say
Yeah.
you should go for, or we should go for um, vector. Okay,
Vector.
and you just told about the concurrent collection.
Yeah.
So you said that if you want that synchronization
Yeah.
or thread safety or and performance as well, then we can go for
Concurrent
concurrent collection.
collection.
So,
Yeah.
so tell me how that concurrent collection handle these things like thread safety and then uh, that performance as well.
So in the vector, if you store element, so only one thread can access that vector at a time. So instead of we can go in the concurrent collection. So suppose if we have a 10 array size array in the
Mm.
concurrent collection, then that has a 10 array level bucket level log. So instead of getting only one thread can access at a time, it will access 10 array at a time, and it will perform simultaneously in a concurrent collection. So that is handling performance and synchronization as well.
So you said 10 array. 10
Yeah,
array, what does it mean?
10 bucket at one array. I mean to say.
Okay, you mean to say 10 indexes or 10 buckets in the one array.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So you mean to say there are, let's say 10, that there is a collection, concurrent collection. So what are types of collection? Basically, mainly that concurrent collection.
Yeah, there are three types of collection like list, set, and queue.
No. In case of concurrent collection.
Uh, yes, sir. Copy on write array list, copy on write hash set, and concurrent hash map.
Okay, so you mean to say if we are using the array list, concurrent array, that concurrent collection, array list in the concurrent collection. So it provides the index level or bucket level lock,
Yes.
and only one thread can access. Okay, good.
Yes.
So, but there is one another issue in the normal collection called
Yes.
as a concurrent module exception. Do you know about that?
Yes. Yes. I know about that.
So tell me something.
So if we perform reading and writing operation at the same time in normal array, so it will throw concurrent modification exception, because while iterating that array, it will check the previous array size and the next array size. If it is not same, then it will throw concurrent modification exception. While we can resolve that issue in concurrent collection, because concurrent collection has a main array which is synchronized, and it has its duplicate copy which is read only copy. So that default array which is synchronized it is write only copy, and duplicate copy is read only copy. So that will handle in concurrent collection.
Okay, good. So write only and read only copies different in a concurrent array list, basically. Okay,
Yes, concurrent
okay,
array.
okay. Great. Mm, so tell me about, let's say, let me give one scenario. Okay,
Okay.
so I have a number of employees, like 10 employees. Okay, that
Okay.
employees having that employee object having the name, address, and salary.
Okay.
Now I want to sort it, uh, that list of array by their salary, like the employee who having less salary, so it that particular object at the first index, then second, then third, like this. So I basically I want to sort that number of employee with their salary. Then how you can, like, which collection you choose?
If you want sorting, then we can go with tree set.
Okay, tree set, good.
Yeah.
So uh,
There
if we
are
are using here, huh? Yes.
there are two. We can sort by two interfaces like comparable and comparator.
Okay, comparator and comparable, good.
Yes.
So what is the difference between them?
So if you want single sorting order, then we can go with comparable. And if you want multiple sorting order, then we can go with comparator. In comparable, there are compare to method. In comparator, there are compare method. So if we want a single sorting order, like uh, because in comparator, if we sort by salary, then after some time if we sort by the name, then we need to write the logic of name there, so it is tightly coupled. But in case of comparator, if we sorting by the salary, then we create a new class of that salary. And if we want to sort by the name, then we create a new class for the name, so it is loosely coupled. So that is the difference between comparator and comparable.
Okay, good. Good. So do you know that what is the disadvantage in array list? Basically, like,
Yes, yes.
oh,
So
hmm,
whenever we perform insertion operation in ArrayList, so it will perform n number of shifting operation. So that is a bad in ArrayList. And while if we perform writing operation in ArrayList, so it is also bad, because after specific threshold, it will create a new array of double sizing it, and it will copy that old element to that new array. So that is a costly operation. So that is also bad in ArrayList.
okay, good. So can you tell me about the, well, like, which design pattern you know? Uh, any design pattern?
Yes, singleton I know, factory I know, template I know.
Okay, so template, singleton, and factory, three design patterns you know.
Yes.
Okay. So tell me about the singleton design pattern.
Singleton means if the state is shareable and the state is stateless, then we can go with singleton. Singleton means if we want to create only one object at the JVM level, then we can go with the singleton design pattern.
Okay. Um. Okay. So tell me. Okay, how you write the singleton? Can you, like, just tell? Okay.
Yes.
Hmm,
So if we want to write singleton, then first we need to create a private constructor, then private static variable. Then there is a factory method which is public static get instance, and then we provide their synchronized method or block, and then we provide a double check operator. And inside that we create a new object of that, and we return that object. So that's how we create
okay.
singleton.
Okay. So why you are using here synchronization?
Because if multiple threads are coming there, and if one thread going inside, and that is
Hmm,
execution is stopped, and
hmm,
apart from that there is another thread coming inside, and if it
hmm.
is it is creating a singleton object, and
Hmm.
that thread which is stopped, which all will resume, and it will create another object. So that is multi-threaded environment. So that's why we create only. That's why we use synchronize there.
Okay, good, good. Okay. Um, so you said you told about the synchronization.
Yes.
Okay. So synchronous method is good or synchronous block is good? Which
Synchronized
you will
block,
prefer?
synchronized block is good, because if we make method as a synchronize, then that all method is synchronized. So that performance issue is there. Only one thread can access that method at a time, and we want only a piece of code to be synchronized. So that's why we can go with synchronized block instead of synchronized method.
Okay, but I think there is some problem in that synchronization, right? Like, the waiting period is very high, right?
Yes.
In the synchronization.
Yes.
So don't you think this is not this much of good to provide the thread safety? So is there any other way to
Yeah,
provide the thread
we
safety?
can go with re-entrant lock as well.
Okay, reentrant lock. Good.
Yes.
So why we can go for the reentrant lock? Basically,
because
matlab, hmm?
because if the synchronized method we can write, and if one thread come there and it will stop their execution, then the control is not in our hand. The control is in synchronized, because that method is synchronized and that thread is stopped. So we don't get it. So that's why
Hmm.
we go with re-entrant lock. So in re-entrant lock, we can provide a specific time to be a specific time to the thread to be executed, or if the specific time it is over, if the thread is
Hmm.
overhealed that specific time, then it will remove that. That's why we can go with re-entrant block.
Okay, you mean to say reentrant lock provide a facility um, of the waiting period. Okay, so we can
Yes.
specify waiting period for every thread. But in case of synchronous, there is no waiting period. It will
Yes.
keep waiting. So there is a
Yes.
chance of deadlock.
Yes,
Okay,
deadlock
good.
chances are there, and one also default is there. Suppose if one thread going into the synchronized block or method, then if the thread is resume and going execution done, then that thread will don't know how to process it with that. Means it will getting that lock to the second thread or third thread. So there is no
Hmm.
fairness policy as well. So we can go with re-entrant lock.
Okay, okay, okay. So you mean to say if there are 10 threads are waiting,
Yes.
then okay, good. Okay. So it maintain the order. Okay,
Yes.
good. Um, okay, so there are some other things in the multi-threading. So tell me how to create a thread or how many ways to create a threads.
So basically, there are four ways to create a thread. So first one is extending thread class. Second is implementing runnable interface. Third one is implementing callable interface. And if the Java it is there, so we can create a thread by Lambda expression also. And in Lambda expression, we can pass runnable or callable also.
Okay, so which one you preferred?
So implementing by runnable interface is preferred. If there is Java, then we can go with Lambda expression. But if
Hmm.
not, then we can implement runnable interface, because there we can achieve multiple inheritance as well.
Okay, and what about callable?
If we want a response, if we want a return response, then we can go with callable.
Okay, okay, good. Um, okay. So, but don't you think that um, in the multi-threading or in the that callable runnable, we are creating the thread, okay? But
Yes,
it is very difficult to manage, right? To create a thread and then stop the thread and resume the thread. Such kind of things are there.
yes,
So, is there any another way in the Java to manage these things?
yes. If we don't want to manage, then we can go with executor service.
Okay, executor service. So you know about the executor service. Good.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so so tell me about something about the executor service.
So executor service means it is an interface. Instead of we creating thread and manage that, executor service will create thread and manage that for us by thread pool. It has multiple implementation like single thread pool, cache thread pool, schedule thread pool, fixed thread pool, and fork thread pool.
Okay, that five implementation. Good, great. So you know all that implementations, right?
Yes.
Five implementations. Okay. Uh, okay. Actually, we don't have that much of time, so I will like skip this multi-threading. Okay. But definitely, I wanted to know from you what is the fork join and that fork that
Yeah, the
do you,
fork join pull we can use in parallel stream. So the stream is represent the data into a sequence of format. It is sequence of
okay, okay,
element. So instead
okay.
of
So
that,
okay. Wait. Anyway, tell me about the difference between stream and parallel stream in the
so
Java item.
yeah. So in stream, if you want only a single format, like in stream, stream is a represent a element of data into a single format. So parallel stream actually divided that stream into a chunks and it is representing. So if we have a multiple data like bigger stream, then we can go with parallel stream.
Okay, and there you there it use the fork.
Yeah,
Okay,
there we
using the
use a fork join pool to
okay,
divide
good.
into a chunks.
Okay, good. Let's come to the another point. Mm, okay, so come to the again singleton. Okay, you said that you said that singleton, right? So
Yeah.
this is eager or lazy singleton.
I would say it is a lazy singleton.
Okay, and then what about eager?
Eager means which is in the hibernate.util package. So that is a eager singleton.
Okay, okay, you know about Hibernate.
Yes,
Okay, good. So you talk about that Hibernate util, and you said it is a singleton, but it's a eager or lazy.
it is a eager hibernate.util. It is a eager
Mm.
singleton.
Okay, good. So you know that very well, right?
Yes.
Okay, so actually we don't have that much of time, so let's move to the next topic. Okay,
Yeah.
um, tell me about coming to the Hibernate. So tell me about the second level cache and first level cache. First
So
level, let's say first level cache.
first level cache means whenever there is a session, so session has that cache
Mm.
to return from the cache. If we perform any sessions, so that session return from their cache, so that is first level cache. And second level cache is to to share the data across multiple sessions. So that is the second level cache and first level cache.
Okay, so you are saying that multiple
Multiple
session level.
session.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So you mean to say that multiple session will share this cache. This is called a second level cache. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So what is the life of that first level cache after one session destroyed? Then still that cache will be there or not there?
No, the first level cache will destroy after the session destroyed.
Okay. Good.
Yeah,
Good.
but the second level cache is alive there if the session is destroyed as well.
Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. So you are good in the Hibernate as well.
Yes.
Let's move to the next thing. Mm, so tell me about. So let's say I have one scenario, or let's say I want to improve the performance of my application.
Okay.
So is there any way to improve the performance of the application?
So you can use cache, you can use indexing as well, and you can use async communication as well to
Okay,
improve your
so
performance.
async, you said async indexing, this is database indexing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and you said caching.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me the types of cache basically which you know.
So in cache there are two types: in-memory cache and distributed cache.
Okay, so
So
what is the difference between them?
So in-memory cache means if application have their cache, so that is in-memory cache. So we can retrieve the data from this cache. But distributed cache is have multiple machines there out from the application. So that is a distributed cache. In-memory cache, it is faster because we are retrieving the data from the application as well, and the distributed cache is slower than in-memory cache because we are retrieving the data from the out of application. The in-memory cache has some default like if we perform if the application is destroyed, then that cache will also get destroyed. But in case of distributed cache, if the application is destroyed, the distributed cache is there as well. So that is the difference between in-memory cache and
O-
application distributed cache.
Okay, you mean to say if application restarted or rebooted, that
Yes,
cache is gone in memory. But
yes,
even your application is there or not there, still that distributed cache will be there.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, good.
In-memory cache
Uh,
example like caffeine and distributed cache example like Redis. Yes.
okay, Redis and caffeine. Okay, in
Caffeine.
memory, yeah, basically caffeine is very famous. Okay, good.
Yes.
And then another is Redis. This is
Yeah.
also famous for distributed caching.
In distributed cache.
Now, good. Okay. Now tell me about. Um, let's take one example, or let's take one scenario. I
Okay.
want to. I want to. Mm, so let's say I want to give one task to check the performance of my application. Like improve the. I want to improve the performance, but I want to know which methods or what methods taking a times and all. So, do you know anything about this?
Mm, yeah, we can use actuator or loggers there.
Loggers.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Do you know about the AOP? But do you know about the AOP? AOP?
Yes, yes, I know about the AOP. So we can use AOP as well there. Yeah.
Okay. Because see, when I'm checking the performance,
Yeah.
there are multiple tools in the market like App Dynamics.
Yes, app
But if I
dynamics.
want to check the performance with the help of code, then definitely I should not go only with the loggers. I can use the AOP
AOP.
because that performance check code will not be there, right?
Yes.
It should not be there always. We should
Yes.
to remove and we should to add. Okay, sometime as
Yes.
per requirement. Okay, good. So do you know about the AOP? Like tell me about the AOP something.
So AOP is aspect-oriented programming, which is terminology in Java. So if we want to cross-cutting logic, sometimes we want to add, sometimes we don't want to add, then we will go with AOP. AOP has some advices like around, before, after throwing, and after returning.
Okay, so tell me about around advice flow.
Around advice means if we put around at the method level, so that method execution all control will have the around advice. In around advice will have the full control
Control means
at the before execution and after execution.
okay, good. So can I manipulate the return value and input argument in the around advice?
Yes, yes. If you want to return, then you want to put joint cuts there,
Okay,
point cuts.
okay, fine. Mm, okay, so let's see some next things. Okay, so coming to the security, right? You said that I have no security.
Yes.
So which type of security you know?
It's like JWT, DAO security, I know, database related security. That I
Okay,
know the
database based
flow of
security.
database security.
Okay, so you know JWT, you know Spring. That's basic security, basic, right? That database means basic, right?
Yes,
Okay.
DAO security.
So, okay, do one thing. Instead of JWT, tell me about that DAO based security or that
Okay.
session based security. Huh?
Okay. So whenever we hit the API, suppose if there is hello API and user hit that API, so that API will intercepted by the security filter chain. So security filter chain will return to the home page, will returning the home page to the user. So in that home page, user need to write the login and username and password. So if user login user fill the form like username and password, then that authentication object will intercepted by the security filter chain. Then that security filter chain will pass that authentication object to authentication manager. Then authentication manager will pass that authentication object to the load by user and that into the database. Then that username and password need to check the database. Then database will valid that. If username and password is valid, means username is valid, then your database will provide you the user object. So that user object will go to the authentication manager. So now authentication manager has two objects. One is authentication object and one is user details object. Then after authentication manager will divert that request to the authentication provider. Authentication provider is an interface which has multiple implementation like DAO authentication provider, JWT authentication provider, CAS authentication provider, auth authentication provider, and LTAP authentication provider. But we are checking the by DAO authentication provider, so it will go to DAO authentication provider, and by default also it will go to DAO authentication provider. So in the authentication provider, it will check and it will validate that username password is correct or not. If it is valid, then it will create a security context holder. In that, it will pass the authentication object in the security context. I mean, if it is and it is providing that it is authorization object, and it will create a session ID for that, and that session ID will intercepted by the security filter chain and will return to the user. It is the first time. When you hit the second time, then it will check, it will intercept it by the security filter chain, and security filter chain will check that this API has a session ID or not. If it is have the session ID, then it will return from that. If it is not, then it will follow that all the process. So that is the Spring security flow I know.
Okay, so let's say I have 10 users. Okay, 10 users login. So how many sessions will be there? Session
So
object will be there.
10 session
Huh?
object will be there.
Let's say I have 1000 users.
Yeah,
Then how many sessions will be there?
1000 sessions ID will be there.
So is it good?
No, it
Is it
is
good?
not
Let's say
good.
if I guess so. If we have 1 lakh users,
Yeah.
so this is not right. Not possible
Yeah.
to create a 1 lakh session objects inside the memory of the application.
Yes.
So
So
then,
we will go with JWT. So in that flow, JWT will generate a token for that,
mhm.
and it is intercepted by the security filter chain. So whatever the API will hit that security filter chain, that security filter chain will authorize it, will
Okay,
validate that, and that
okay, okay,
JWT.
fine. I fine because we don't have time, right? Because it will take a lot of time to tell that JWT flow. Okay,
Yeah.
but yes, your flow is perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
and you have good knowledge on this Spring Security as well.
Yes.
Okay, so overall, the knowledge is good. Okay, I'm satisfied with your knowledge, but still, I want to ask a lot of questions. So we will take a second round.